Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Monica. In today's video, I'm going to be doing the Top of the Tropes book tag that B from Mama Needs to Read Romance. She put it together and she asked me to participate. Anyways, let's just get into the tropes. So the first trope that is, I guess, the favorite of the most favorite of the tropes is enemies to lovers. And it's not my favorite trope, but I do love it. And I have to give it to The Viscount Who Loves Me by Julia Quinn. This is in the Bridgerton world. I love this one because I love Anthony. And I love how he clashes with Kate so freaking much. But you have those small little romantic moments, like in the study when the lightning storm was going on. And when he was so afraid for her when she got stung by the bee. Yes, that's one of the reasons why I had a bit of an issue with season 2 of Bridgerton. They took out that library scene and they messed up the bee scene. Other than that, I liked it. But I love Anthony as a character. He is a rogue. He's a dick as well. He's so snobby. But I love Kate. She did not take his crap and she gave it back to him in full force. And I just absolutely loved them. I love their banter, but I also loved how they protected those people who they loved. So anyway, that's why I have to acknowledge The Viscount Who Loves Me for enemies to lovers. So I guess the number 2 most favorite top of the top tropes is friends to lovers, which is also not a favorite. I'm just saying that if you put someone in the friend zone, they probably should stay there. Unless there's a good reason not to stay there. And I would have to agree with Catherine Cowell's version of the Friends to Lovers with Echoes of You. This is in the Lost and Found series, and this is about Maddie and Nash. Maddie comes back to her small town after being away because she was married and her ex-husband was abusive. And Nash is just such a sweet guy, and I loved the relationship dynamic. I loved their friendship, and I loved how they didn't take each other for granted. And I loved how Nash became overprotective over Maddie. Like, that was just like touch her and you die type of vibes, but friendship style. I absolutely loved it. I adored the romance in this one so much. I think this is this one and the very last one, which is Ashes of You. Those are my two. These are my two favorites. So Echoes of You and Ashes of You are my two favorite in the Lost and Found series by Catherine Cowell. You should check it out if you have not already. I highly recommend it. So let's just get on to the next trope. And so I guess the third most popular trope is fake relationship or fake dating. And again, this is not my favorite, but it does work when it goes really, really well, because sometimes the fake relationship makes absolutely no sense. But one of the ones that made perfect sense, and it was just executed so well, is Here for the Cake by Jennifer Milligan. This one is about Paisley and Klein, and I'm looking down to make sure because it's been a while since I have read this, but I still remember a good portion of this book. So Paisley and Klein, they signed a contract. Klein would be Paisley's date to her sister's wedding. The issue is that Paisley's sister is marrying Paisley's ex-boyfriend. So there's all that drama mess, right? So Klein is trying to become a writer. And so she's really, really good at marketing and stuff. So they make an agreement. They would fake date, pretend that they're in a relationship when they go to this weekend wedding getaway thing on the coast of North Carolina. She would help him promote his work because he didn't like social media. Her friend and her coworker gets this idea where he should kind of tweet or to Instagram or whatever their time fake dating, right? And nobody would know because they didn't really know each other. They knew each other a long time ago back in college, and they had one very awkward moment, and then that was it. And so, yes, he goes with her to her sister's wedding. It's a one-bed trope, and they're pretending to love each other, and they end up falling in love with each other, and they are fake dating, and he's totally acknowledging that what they're doing is fake on social media, which I thought was a very fun slant to the fake relationship trope. And it was so good. There was a lot of angst and a lot of drama and a lot of laughs. I loved her grandmother very, very much. And I would recommend this one if you have not checked it out for fake dating. So the next trope, that's the most popular trope, so this is the fourth one, and it is second chance romance, and I will have to give it to Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. I have talked about this one quite a bit on my channel, or at least I feel like I have, because I absolutely love this. Brendan and Ellis got married young because they had their son Samuel when they were teenagers, and she could not get pregnant again. And they've been broken up for 5 years. So this is second chance, marriage in trouble, or relationship in trouble. They didn't really talk to each other within those 5 years, and not only that, is they didn't move on. They could not move on because they still had feelings for each other. They just had to work through it. So you had them going on a road trip with their son Samuel to take him to college, and they sort of reversed parent trapped him. It was fun. I loved it. I loved the angst. I loved the drama, and I loved how they reconciled and they communicated with each other. This one was such a fun book. I absolutely adored it from beginning until the end, and I would recommend that you pick this one up, Left of Forever, if you haven't done so already, especially if you love a good second chance marriage in trouble type of a book. And then for number 5 is Workplace Romance. And I was going to do a Vi Keelan and Penelope Ward book because I generally read them for their workplace romance because they do some really good workplace romance. But I have to give it to Over the Moon by Laura Pavlov. And the reason why, the angst was so good in this one. This one is, he's a hockey player and she is his physical therapist. And she was working with him to train him to rehab his knee so he could go back out on the ice the next season. So this was definitely kind of workplace. I call it workplace because they were both working together, collaborating in order for them to make the best product possible for their employer, which was him being the best type of hockey player he could be. And she was key to it because he needed his knee rehabbed, and they became friends. And this was also very forbidden because she was not allowed to date him because of a clause in her contract that says she couldn't date a hockey player, right? But this was also a small town, and they became really good friends, and they just couldn't deny their feelings. And I absolutely loved it. And towards the end, where HR had to get involved again, because HR got involved, I have to say it is workplace. I love the characters. I loved Clark and Eloise. I love their relationship, their romance. I love the setting, and I just think this is a really great one. And you can argue with me or agree or disagree that it's workplace, but I feel like it's workplace. So let's just move on to the next trope that everybody seems to love, and that is, for number 6, is forbidden love. And I absolutely love this one. I love a good forbidden romance. My gosh, the more forbidden, the better. Like QB Tyler, she does such great forbidden. But I'm going to give it to Elizabeth O'Rourke and my favorite, Lost Cause. And this one, I don't even know if it's going to be out by the time you see this because I got an ALC of it. And oh my gosh, guys, you have got to read this book. It is angsty. It is forbidden because Charlie, our hero, is step siblings to our heroine, Marin. So they have known each other for a while. They did not grow up together. So let's clear that up right now. They did not grow up together. But people are like, yeah, your brother and sister. Her husband is threatened by Charlie. So she's married, but her husband is a complete grade A asshole who deserves jail for some of the things he did. And her mother needs some psychotherapy. Her mother and his father are married. His mother died and left him a house. It was actually more of a mansion in Charleston, South Carolina. So they go down. He has Marin goes with her because those two are a mess when they are away from each other. But when they're together, their mess is cleaned up. Like they are each other's person. And they kind of recognize this, right? So they have this friendship, and things happen with her husband. She decides she's done with that jackass and she divorces him. And then that's when Charlie sort of makes his moves. However, they help each other through a lot of stuff. They are actually renovating this house down in South Carolina because she wants to renovate it. He wanted to sell it, but he was like, if you want it, I will give it to you. He just cannot say no to Marin. And I absolutely love their dynamic. I love the angst, the tension. I love how theatrical Marin is. She She's a dog mom, a proud dog mom, who wants to be a real mom in person, and her fertility doctor says she's the issue. And that comes to play with a lot of things that happen in the third act conflict. However, do not discount this book because they're step-siblings. Don't. Trust me, just don't. This one is so well written, well paced. The characters are very flawed and they are fantastic. I absolutely love the characters so much. So please do yourself a favor when it comes out. Go read it. So let's just get on to the next trope, and it's childhood sweethearts. So this is number 7, childhood sweethearts. And I would have to give it to Northern Twilight by Samantha Young. This is a romantic suspense. This one is about Callie Ironside and Lewis Adair, and they were best friends when they were younger. Callie moved to the small town in Scotland when she was little. Anyhow, they met at school and they became best friends. And then when they were 16, they started to date, but they were too young to continue dating and they needed to grow up a bit. And then they come back and they have their romance. But there's some stuff that happened, and I love Lewis so much. He just never got over Callie. Callie really never got over her. She tried to move on, but I love Lewis so much. Like, Lewis is a fantastic hero. I absolutely loved this book, and I'm not the only one. It has a 4.13% rating on Goodreads. So if you haven't read this one, you really, really should. And then for trope number 8 that everybody loves is forced proximity, and I have to give it to Road Trip with a Rogue by Kate Bateman. I just recently read this one and I adore it. So we have our heroine Daisy. She's a private investigator for King & Co., which she owns with her 2 best friends. And she is assigned to stop this couple from eloping into Gretna Green. She stops the wrong carriage. It's the carriage of this Duke who she kissed 5 years ago, and she has hated ever since because he wasn't very nice to her, right? And so they are stuck in this carriage chasing after these 2 people who only want to do is get married, but she's tasked to stop it because the girl's father thinks that the guy is a gold digger, when in both they're just silly in love fools, right? And our Duke knows this. And he doesn't tell her because he wants more time with her because he has these feelings for her. He's had them for 5 years. And what a great way to get someone to pay attention to you than on a road trip, I guess. I guess that's what was his thought. Anyway, I loved it. It had action, it had romance, it had great banter, it had a great ending. I absolutely loved everything about this book. I do recommend it. It's her newest release. And honestly, our romance authors really do need some loving right now. So if you haven't picked it up, you really should. The number 9 top trope is soulmates. And I am going to give this to an entire trilogy. I literally just read this. Now this one's a little stretching it, but I truly enjoyed my time in this trilogy. And it's the Chronicles of One, specifically Rise of the Magics by Nora Roberts. We start with the book year 1. And this one, they're not even born yet, okay? So this is how we know they're soulmates, okay? This pandemic happens and kills off a good portion of the world. And then you have these factions, these very ultra-right, crazy religious leaders who are like, we need to kill the uncanny. The uncanny are people who have developed magical powers. They end up becoming witches, sorcerers, elves. They end up becoming, there's dragons in this. There's a guy who was asleep for 600 years coming to help the one person. This book, there's also fae in it, which is really cool. And some of the people who chose light, and some of the people who chose death. The death are the main villains, and they are, funny enough, they're magical, but they are cavorting with the ultra-religious right to kill off the uncannies or the people who would not follow the darkness, right? And so that is book 1. So we set it up, and at the end of book 1, both our our hero and heroine have just been born. So that would be Duncan and Fallon. Now book 2, they're about 12, 13 years old at this time. They haven't even really met yet, but they have had dreams about each other. And this is why they're soulmates, because they've had dreams about each other. Fallon is the one. She's the one who is meant to restore balance and I'm sorry, my cats are fighting, but I'm not going to stop filming. But they're meant to restore balance and overcome and defeat the darkness, right? So Fallon is training, and she befriends a guy named Mick, who is actually an elf, I think. Yeah, I think he was an elf. And Duncan is in the New Hope town with his mother and his twin sister, Antonia, and his other adopted sister, Hannah. They sort of meet in dreams and stuff at that one, but then they meet and they know that they need to be together, but they want to choose to be together. They don't want it fated, but so they have to choose. They don't have to choose, but they want to choose, but they're fated, they're soulmates. And then in book 3, we have the big final battles, and this is the rise of the Magics, and people who I thought were going to survive didn't actually survive. I was surprised about the deaths that happened in book 1 and in book 2 and in book 3. The soulmate romance between Fallon and Duncan is very well done. It is more of a subplot than a plot, but I really loved how it drove them, because they eventually decided that they had to be together. They didn't want Destiny to choose it. They wanted to choose it, and obviously they did, but they still had a choice whether they wanted to or not, and they did. And I absolutely enjoyed this trilogy very much. It's the Chronicles of One trilogy. I highly recommend you check this one out. If you haven't checked out one of Nora's books before, this one I would highly recommend you do. So the last trope that everybody's loved, so trope 10, is Opposites Attract, and I have to give it to For Better or For Worse by Ava Hunter. I read this around my birthday. I was getting my hair done, and so I didn't have my ear pods in. I was reading this on my phone. Well, the stylist was doing my hair and doing all this stuff, and I could not put this down. This one is about Ash and Nathaniel. Ash worked as a professional wedding objector, so she would go in and stop people's weddings. She was hired to go in and stop Nathaniel's wedding to his fiance. 3 years later, she is now a death doula, so she's helping this older man die with dignity and with peace, and making plans, especially around his family. He's a very rich older man, and his family, they're all kinds of messed up. One of his grandsons is Nathaniel, and she is on this vacation to Hawaii with him and the whole family, because she is Nathaniel's grandfather's death doula. And she's very much gothic, and she is very much come take life as we know it, and she never really had this plan, whereas Nathaniel's more clean cut, white collared, has everything together, is a doctor, la la la, and he hated her when he saw her because of what she did at his wedding, and it was fantastic. I absolutely loved this book. There is truths that had to be told for them to be together. I love the setting in Hawaii. I loved all the characters. I loved Nathaniel's grandfather. He was so much fun. I loved Ash's character. She was such a great character. And I absolutely loved Nathaniel. And so if you haven't read For Better For Worse yet, please do. You really need to read this one. Anyway, that is it for my picks for the top of the Tropes book tag. Let me know if you've read them down below. Let me know all the things. And if you made this far in this book and you want to let me know that you're here, please leave me leave me a palm tree emoji, since 2 of these books take place on a beach. And until next time, my friends, happy reading.